Evening, everybody, and welcome back to the BMW M4 and M8 competition, sponsored by Mondello Park in association with Motorsport Ireland. Fantastic to be back with you once again here at Road Atlanta. These guys fighting for a €1,000 cash prize fund, and we're here for round two at Road Atlanta. My name's Jack, and alongside me, Kevin Galvin. Kevin, fantastic to have you with me today, but we had an absolute stonker of an opening round at Le Mans last week.
Yeah, Jack, even better to have you with me. You were definitely missed last week. There was a few lads asking for you when we were watching back the last broadcast. Look, this is a really interesting series on a particularly interesting track. We know that digital motorsports kind of always put the emphasis on good racecraft and making sure that guys race cleanly, and that will certainly be tested, particularly through the S's here at Road Atlanta this afternoon. We just started qualifying there, but yeah, it's a fantastic series thus far. Great competition as well to go alongside. Two brilliant, fantastic driving experiences as well. There's a link in the live stream that'll allow fans and viewers to sign up for the chance to win one of two BMW M4 and even M8 competition driving experience vouchers. So if you're looking at this and you look at these cars and you think, fancy a bit of that myself, I want to give it a go. Jack can tell you all about it. I'll tell you all about how great they are down in Mondello in terms of looking after you. We'll do both draws to win those vouchers, of course, at the end of the 9th round, which is on November 29th at the North Round.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as of course, Mondello Park is in sponsoring this wonderful event. Of course, heavily involved with BMW. They're both interlinked quite heavily. Driving experiences are, of course, in those wonderful BMWs, and they're a serious piece of kit down there in Mondello Park in Kildare. But yeah, we're a long way from Kildare today. We're here in the US. In Road Atlanta, and if you're unfamiliar with the series, two different cars on display here today. We have the M4 GT4 and the M8 GTE. So the Pro and the Pro-Am classes are the two differences. There's the M8 GTE, and the car we were just watching just previously was the M4 GT4. So the faster cars for the Pros and the slower cars for the Pro-Ams, but no less competitive between these two classes of cars. But yeah, they've got a really big challenge here today in Road Atlanta. It's up and down, it's tight and twisty, it's narrow. And Kevin, I think the biggest thing is going to be when the M8s catch up to the GT4s and have to make their way through the traffic, because it's extremely narrow, very difficult to overtake here.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of the M8 guys are, there's a lot of talk in the driver's briefing. I was just in with the guys there for that driver's briefing ahead of today's race. And a lot of talk about M8s, the harsh penalties that will be given. Of course, we have live race stewards today covering this, so there will be potentially retrospective action as we see the first timings come in on the screen, and no surprise there to see one of the Dempsey boys up there, the turn 2 racing. He's 1:14.5. Jordan Kelly, last week's winner, of course, with a 1:14.6. We were saying there in practice that there was a second between the top 20, which just goes to show how close. But it really does. I was talking to Evan Walsh during our Monday show that you might have watched about the importance of qualifying, and Jack, qualifying here to kind of avoid all that carnage. If you can start up the front and wheel yourself away from what's almost inevitably going to be some sort of carnage anyway going through those S's, you do yourself a massive favour going forward in the race.
Exactly, we had a good chat with him on Monday about all this. So top of the standings at the moment, Peter Dempsey. So he's of course the US driver, Turn 3 Motorsport founder, Turn 3 Motorsport. Jordan Kelly, last week's winner, P2. Josh Malin sitting in there nicely in third, and then impressively Rob Moore, P4. He's going very well. This week is Rob Moore in 4th place. Then Keith Dempsey in 5th place. Keith is out for blood today. We're going to see a very feisty Keith Dempsey today, I think. Arias Humantas in there, P6. Jason Cooper, Brian McManus, Nicky Meredith, and James Holman are your top 10 at the moment in the Pro. At the top of the GT4 class at the moment, the Pro-Am class, is Harry Mcgovern ahead of Kevin Shine. Now, Harry has been impressive over this opening round or so. He's just coming through the last corner now, hopping that curve. And last week's winner, Alex Denning, just pops in to P1 there. Harry Mcgovern, 0.3 of a second behind, and Chris McCann, P3. Considering how new Chris McCann is to iRacing, I'm impressed that he's up there fighting with the likes of of Mcgovern and Denning, but Denning 0.3 of a second clear up front. The battle, I think, for the championship, I think, I know it's a bit early to call, but seems that the championship is certainly going to be between Denning and Mcgovern, I think, Kevin.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Michael McGuinness either. Finished second last week and was very unfortunate with that incident with the one of the pro drivers through Tete Rouge. It's just to see Harry Mcgovern just ahead of Chris McCann. There was contact between those two going into Arnage last week. McGovern gave McCann a pretty hefty shunt from behind. So if those guys start close to each other on the grid, it should be interesting to see that tussle play out. Of course, Michael McGuinness is slightly hampered today. Sliced his hand open doing the dishes on Monday. So it made me think of other, strange sporting injuries that have happened. I'm going to cover some of those as we go along in the broadcast, because it made me think of some of the strangest kind of sporting injuries that have ever happened. But definitely Michael McGuinness is splitting his hand open. So as far as I know, he's driving left-handed. He's adapted his controls to allow himself to gear up and gear down with the one hand. And fair play to him. I mean, where is he on the timing chart? He's a 127.95, so still, and just gone there now with a 128.6 was his last lap. 127.9 is his best. So he's doing reasonably well, Michael, given the fact that he's driving with only one hand.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing very, very well. P9, one-handed is pretty impressive. But yeah, of course, this series is, of course, sponsored by Mondello Park. Of course, you can win a driving experience in one of these fantastic BMWs, and we'll get the advert right up now from Mondello Park to show you exactly what you could be driving. So that was the advert from Mondello Park showing those wonderful BMWs that you can have a chance to win if you check out the link below. Rob King has just been on to me to let you all know, of course, Digital Motorsports at the forefront of providing sim equipment in Ireland and running one of the most successful esports championships in Ireland. So they have got a sale on Next Level Racing sim gear at the moment. If you want to get yourself a rig, then head over to digitalmotorsports.com to check out what you can get yourself in the sale. But here's the important part for tonight in race one. Peter Dempsey on pole, Jordan Kelly next to him, Josh Malin and Rob Moore. I'm very impressed with Rob Moore. Great qualifying P4. Keith Dempsey, James Holman, Jason Cooper, Arias Mantis, Brian McManus and Nicky Meredith are your top 10. Richard Lyons and Tom Ingram in P12. Rory O'Shea, Adrian Campfield. Then we've Niall Murray, David Yamamoto, Evan Walsh, Peter McCann, Arturas Kundalis, Sergey Grabin, Michael Devaney, Patrick McKenna, Rob Barrable, and Thomas Sivas down in 24th place. Rounding out the pro grid, then Dave Collier, Thomas Series, Ronan Hederman, Adam Dowling, Tony Stack, Richard Faulkner, Owen Murray, and Ian Malone. On the pole for the Pro-Am class, Alex Denning once again. Only a 10th behind him is Dave Maguire then, Harry Mcgovern, and Brendan Stone in 4th place. Chris McCann 5th, Kevin Shine, Lawrence DeSozwa, Nathan Healy, Evan Griffin, one-handed Michael McGuinness, then Mark Burney, Jean Montero, Shane Connolly, Damien McMullen, Victor Cullen, and Johnny McMullen. I think we've one more down the back is Max Hart at the very back of this 49 car grid. Rolling start for today. And of course, the M8 will surge away from the M4. Here's the championship standings. Jordan Kelly leading the pro standings ahead of Josh Malin and Keith Dempsey. But Kevin, not the best qualifying from Keith here today. He's actually been outshone by his brother Peter, who's on pole.
Yeah, and we were saying about that Monday. How many people on Monday predicted that Keith would come away with the win? Interesting to see. He's a lot to do, but in a race like this, it's a sprint race. You've such a short amount of time to try and make up places, and on this course, it's such a difficult area to make those up. It'll be interesting to see if Keith can put all that racecraft into practice and start to make up a few places. But yeah, as you say, a big shock. Some really good qualifying there. Among that, you say Rob Moore's gone really well. Very impressive. And obviously race stewards tonight are another Rob King, Niall Maher and Sean McGinley. They'll have their hands full, no doubt, today with this 49 car field in total. But yeah, the rolling start should be interesting. Hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for those guys, especially like that M8 turn 3, you're swinging it in left and you're trying to trail brake. It'd be interesting to see how many guys lose the back end there before we go down the hill into the opening lap. So yeah, it's a fascinating championship, very close. A lot of guys, we said there was only about a second between the top 20 in the pro class and even closer again in the Pro-Am class. So it'll be fascinating to see who can basically keep it clean over the first couple of laps and establish some sort of a gap.
Yeah, exactly. I think one to watch here for a sneaky podium is Rob Moore. Very impressive qualifying there in P4 on the same row as Keith Dempsey. But there is another Dempsey on the front row, Peter Dempsey, next to Jordan Kelly, who is last week's winner in the endurance race. But there's 2 races tonight, 2 sprint races, and the second race, let's not forget, the top 10 are inverted, so it's a half reverse grid for the M8s. So whoever finishes in the lead will have to drop to 10th place on the grid for the second race. 2 15-lap races ahead, 1 minute 14 per lap for the M8 GTEs, 1 minute 26s for the GT4s in the Pro-Am class. And here we go. This is going to be absolute chaos, but we hope in the good sense. Peter Dempsey controls the pace. He lets the pace car peel off to the right-hand side, dropping down the hill then for the first time. Now he's already gone. Peter Dempsey down towards the line. The green flag will wave here in Road Atlanta for round 2 of the M4 and M8 competition, sponsored by Mondello Park in association with Motorsport Ireland. Peter Dempsey from Jordan Kelly, Josh Malin cleanly in there in 3rd place, and then Keith makes the move on Rob Moore for 4th place. All clean through for those as they're keeping it sensible, which is exactly what we like to see. Meanwhile, down in GT4, Dave Maguire has already taken the lead here in the Pro-Am class, coming through the last corner. Alex Denning gets out of shape coming through the last corner, but it seems to be Dave Maguire who's leading that train away. As you can see now, one of the cars making a move through there. There's Shane Connolly further down. There's been a problem for, and that is Mark Birney facing the wrong way on the front straight. He's been into the wall there as Mark Birney, but there you can see Peter Dempsey already going away. But Jordan Kelly, Kevin, he's putting pressure on already.
Yeah, and Kelly was so quick last week. He was pretty much on the pace to begin with. And led from start to finish. He was fastest in practice as well that week. So he's well used to being up the front. Is Jordan, the man from further up north? He's absolutely flying at the moment. Really interesting to see. He's gone around the outside now of Peter. That's too wide. He's not going to make the move. Though stick, and now falls back again. Really interesting stuff there. And over the course of, as we say, just a 15-lap sprint race this time around. So the opportunity to pass is less and less, but this circuit you've really got to show some patience if you want to get the move done. Not quite there, as we see somebody a big accident there.
That's Michael Devaney, who's gone hard into the wall. There was a big old fight between Evan Walsh, Peter McCann, and they made contact, and poor old Michael Devaney came out worse there, ending up in the wall on the front straight. But there was contact between Jordan Kelly and Keith Dempsey there as they came through that time. They managed to come away cleanly there, but you can see Peter and Josh have just surged away. As a result of that contact, Josh Malin through to 2nd place. Now Jordan Kelly to 3rd, Keith Dempsey in 4th, James Holman running very good in there in 5th place at the moment. And then you can see Jason Cooper, and there's been a huge one down the back. Who's that? That's Faulkner, Adam Dowling, I think that is. McKenna. That's That's been a big one on the back straight, and that's a car that's severely cracked. Thomas Series, that is. You can see crabbing down the straight there. Alan Dowling was involved in that. That is a seriously sick car that's just been involved in a huge one right there. You can see now back to the Pro-Am class. Alex Denning retaking that lead away from Dave Maguire, already starting to gap. You can see Harry Mcgovern, then Brendan Stone, Chris McCann, Kevin Shine, and Michael McGuinness on one hand. He's inside. He's nearly in the top 5. Kevin.
Yeah, it just goes to show you though the attrition here is so high, and it just it's so easy to get caught up in something completely accidental. As Davey Ammo's gone into pits and Murray's fallen down as well. Like it's just so much going on, and we knew that there would be plenty of action in these opening laps, and it's all about staying clean. And it just goes to show you, as we said, Peter Dempsey, should I say? He's qualified first. He's already made 6/10 of the gap ahead of Josh Malin, just because of the amount of carnage that's going on behind him. Even that touch with Kelly earlier on, it's really just you've really got to keep as clean as possible, and you're almost guaranteed to make up places.
Oh, another car in the grass. RAC Mantis from inside the top 10 onto the grass now. Gets back going again, but he's lost a huge amount of places as a result. Look at this big old train that's going on right here. David Yamamoto involved. He's coming through there. That's on the back of the train of Niall Murray, Lyons, Campfield, Ingram, and Meredith, I think, are involved. They're 3 abreast into the chicane. That's Tom Ingram up the inside, I think it was. They're great stuff. I know he's falling down the inside. Adrian Campfield ends up in the gravel after that 3 wide moment, and Adrian Campfield, who's running really, really well inside that top 10, now ends up in the gravel. Has to wait now to get himself back going again onto the track. 3 abreast through there is not always going to work, but the big winner out of that was actually Nicky Meredith and Tom Ingram, who managed to get past Brian McManus into 7th and 8th place. There is Nicky Meredith. He was the one who went up the inside of 2 cars. Tom Ingram in the red behind him, and the car behind him, should I say, is there. Oh, Josh Malin's been off the road now because they're catching the GT4s. Kevin, this is a crucial one. Jordan Kelly gets it done on the outside line.
Yeah, it just goes to show, we were saying that obviously the difference in gap means that the M8s will catch the M4s, but of course the M4s will have issues over the course of the race, which means they'll get caught up earlier on than usual. The same with the M8. So traffic is already coming into it. We're only on lap 4. Less than 5 minutes into this sprint race, traffic has already become an issue, and this is where, as you say, Jack, it gets really, really interesting to see who can best navigate it and where the moves can be made as we go too wide now. Oh, that is really difficult. I'm wondering who's that M4 caught up on all of that. I'm glad not to be driving that.
Yeah, that was Keith Dempsey making the move on the outside line. He got an M4 got in his way, but he managed to get through nonetheless. Big old scrap on here. RAC Mantis up the inside of Lyons there, and up ahead of them is Rory O'Shea and David Yamamoto, who are involved in a huge little scrap right here for the tail end of the top 10 right here. And this is for 14th we're looking at in Lyons, and David Yamamoto leading the train in 11th place. Up ahead, Rory O'Shea getting them to shape. Mantis slowing down as they come up the hill. They're going to have to settle in right here. But you can see another one of the GT4s now just getting in the way a little bit as they run up the hill, but they should be able to go. This is the worst possible place to catch the GT4s in the S's right here. Look, he's keeping himself well out of the way, but they managed to negotiate it very, very well. We look back to it. Look at this. This is a spread out. This is crucial. On board with Barrable right here. This is Rob Barrable on board now, following Thomas Sebas and Arturas Kundalis on the outside line here. And this is going to get pretty messy, but they managed to negotiate it very well while fighting side by side. Very impressive stuff from these guys, but I didn't quite see, I'm not sure if you caught it, Kevin, but Rob Moore has dropped out way outside of 4th place. Can't see where he is, but he's disappeared outside of that top 5, and obviously something happened to him, but I think
I didn't catch it myself, but it's the track at Road Atlanta is beginning to resemble something of the M50 on a Friday evening at this point. It's just cars and lanes left, right and centre, desperately trying to weave and stay out of each other's way, and also try and keep up with this absolute madness. I'm interested to see where's Rob. There's another man that's Rob Moore coming through the S's there. It looked like that's where he had the issue. I couldn't quite fully see that myself even on the replay. But yeah, just absolute carnage, and it's only going to get worse from here on in as the cars, as you see a fine dot of Ronan Hetterman's face there at the back of Jordan Kelly's car. The RA lads have Ronan's face all over the back of the cars, but a fantastic pass there by Keith Dempsey on Jordan Kelly. And it just goes to show you, like it's crazy how Keith he's way offline. We're talking ahead of the race, how difficult it is for him to get back up, and yet now there is in second place, and I expect to see that gap between the two Dempseys close as we go along in the race.
Yeah, I just had a quick look in the in-race chat. So that's been a car. That's Victor Cullen, I think that was, who's been into the wall in the GT4 class. But I was just having a quick look at seeing that Rob Moore's had a problem with his wheel, which has forced him to pull out, unfortunately. Looks like there's been a problem for Brian McManus and Nicky Meredith, because they're falling down the order. They were inside the top 10. They're starting to fall down. I wonder, was there contact between Meredith and McManus? They're trying to get back going again, and they're just falling down the order as a result of the contact. I have to imagine there was contact, or they can't quite see it on the replay, but yeah, Nicky Meredith, and yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely Nico to me. And who was it? Brian McManus was caught up, completely caught up in the outrun.
Oh, whoa!
Over the crest.
Richard Lyons, unfortunately, I can't quite see who got launched there, but Arturas Kundala is absolutely, completely unsighted. Collides with Richard Lyons, and my lord, that's a scary one for Arturas Kundala. Look at that! Up into the air, and lands back on his wheels, and somehow manages to get himself back to the pit lane. So fair play to Arturas Kundala, because Arturas is actually running also. Actually, this gives Michael McGuinness absolutely no excuses, by the way. Arturas Kundala is running on hand controls, so absolutely no excuses for Michael there, even though he's driving one-handed. But you can see now that was a scary one, but they've managed to get back running again. Victor Cullen into the pit lane for his repairs, and Alex Denning just getting lapped by the leaders. That's Tom Ingram. That's coming through, fighting with Niall Murray, I think that is, coming up towards turn number 1. Tom Ingram having a good run as they come up to the first corner. But Alex Denning doesn't seem to be going at full tilt, Kevin. I think probably just letting the traffic through to make sure that they're not impeded. But you can see the amount of cars that are starting to arrive now. That's Dave Maguire in second. Arias Imanta's coming through there. Harry McGovern's in the middle of this. This is exactly what we were talking about. The M8s trying to negotiate their way through M4s, who are also embroiled in a side-by-side battle. This is the fine balance he's got to make. As you can see, Michael Devaney trying to make his way through on the curb. And you can see the stewards already onto instant between car number 14 and car number 45. Now, I'm not quite sure which cars those are, but they are being investigated nonetheless.
Yeah, I was just going to say the amount of incidents, I was saying it's going to be such difficult work for all the stewards to keep up. We're not seeing that many stewards' messages. I think it's just a case of them desperately trying to keep up with all of the action that's going on. I think this is kind of what everybody expected. We expected a little bit of carnage. I'm surprised actually how we kind of got through the opening 2 or 3 laps to do all right. And then it all seemed to kind of kick off after that once the lap traffic came into it. But interesting to see that Peter Dempsey is actually pulling out a lead on Keith as well. I was expecting Keith to make up that gap. I don't know, is it traffic or what's going on, but Peter's still holding a very commanding lead ahead of his current teammate. And Jordan Kelly, another behind that again. And good battle here between these two. We're on board now with Tom Ingram, of course, comfortable in the touring cars, of course, comfortable in GT cars as well. Has had a rotten luck in the Digital Motorsport Series, so it'll be good to see him place well. He was Niall's tip for the race today, so a little bit off as we see. And number 12 got off there through the S's. Was there contact with the GT, or was it of his own volition? I'm not sure. Is that David Maguire?
Yeah, Dave Maguire, and I unfortunately won't be able to see it, but that Dave Maguire dropping out of, I believe, second place in GT4 in the Pro-Am class, so that's a big blow to Dave Maguire's chances of a podium here today. This is Jordan Kelly. This is spicy between himself and Keith Dempsey. He's coming back at him now towards turn 1, looking on the inside. They can't quite find the gap, but this is a battle we want to see between Jordan and between Keith, 2 veterans of Digital Motorsports Championships. They're a ways off the back of Peter Dempsey at the moment, but now Jordan has somehow found a little bit of pace back. I wonder, was it traffic that Keith managed to get himself embroiled in? But now Jordan is on full attack mode here, on board with him up through Sector 1. And such a tricky course. Of course, Jordan was fastest in practice as well. So there's plenty to give for this man from Donegal. See it just keep going a little bit wide there. Jordan would have seen that and probably going to go on the attack now on the back straight into the slipstream, but a great exit there from Keith Dempsey will keep him just, if we're looking back now, from Keith Dempsey's rear wing, you can see looming figure of Jordan Kelly in the VR racing car coming down towards the chicane. Is he going to have a pop on the inside line? He thinks about it, but Keith is going to defend that as they arrive towards the chicane. But this is absolutely fantastic. This is the stuff we want to see. Two veterans of this championship. Here comes Tom Ingram now on the inside, and Niall Murray, BTCC driver, goes through into 7th place. And if Tom holds on to that, that'll be a really good starting position for him for the reverse grid. He'll be 3rd. But Kevin, this is fantastic. Keith Dempsey versus Jordan Kelly doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, brilliant, and a really good battle between Ingram and Murray as well developing, and this is exactly what we expect to see among the pro guys. You know, the carnage has somewhat settled. We're back to proper racing here, and it's fantastic seeing these cars pour down through the S's and you know, take that. They're just so precise through there. When they don't have traffic to contend with. Another incident here in lap 6 involving car 36 and 7. Just goes to show you, we're on lap 11 now, and the stewards are going back to incidents in lap 6. Just goes to show you how much there is to catch up on as all those drivers now begin to hit traffic again. And as we said, you know, the Digital Motorsports have said kind of that racecraft is so important. That's why they went for this multi-class series and said, you know, this is the opportunity for you guys to put everything together, you know. We've seen some interesting moments, but on the large, the racing's been really good, and these two guys have been a fantastic example of it, Jordan Kelly and Keith Dempsey. Of course, Keith is just a serial winner in these series, but this time Jordan's contending for his crown, and yeah, Keith will have a point to prove here to keep the young buck behind him.
Yeah, exactly. Keith's a multiple Digital Motorsports champion here. Jordan won the opening round actually last season in the Indy Pro 2000s in Daytona. He took that opening win, but you can see now, see how the traffic has affected Peter Dempsey. Gaps come down to 3 seconds now. Sergey grabbing on the inside of Adrian Campfield, another veteran of Digital Motorsports. Sergey running really well in P12. Back now to Michael McGuinness is in 3rd. How about that for one-handed from the man from Leitrim, County Down? Very confusing, I know, but Michael, how about he can? We're never going to hear the end of this that he got 3rd with one hand.
No, we won't. We'll never hear the end of it, in fairness. Michael McGuinness says since obviously he's 2nd in round 1, but yeah, he's a quick boy. I said last week it was a Leitrim-Dublin battle. That wasn't exactly what I meant, obviously, as you said there, Jack, Leitrim County Down, but he's a quick boy, particularly one-handed. And he's just keeping it really clean. Michael is just really, really consistent with his lap times. And look, he could be in for a podium that I don't think he ever expected. He was way off the pace when he practiced on Monday as he was getting back into racing, having had that injury. And that's there.
No, cursed him.
No, who wouldn't have hit it there?
I couldn't quite see. It was either Richard Faulkner or Thomas Series making contact with him there. Michael, we should not have said a word.
He was flying, and it's so difficult. Like with the multi-class, those high aero corners. I was talking about it on Monday. As that's number 50 gone off there. That's David Yamamoto gone off. It's interesting to see how he rejoins here. It's going to be there's an M8 come up the inside. But you know, those high aero corners, you just even just a little bit of oversteer, a little snap of oversteer, and you have something like that. That's a touch at the back there. That's Yomantis with a touch at the back of David Yamamoto, who came back on track. Now he's coming the inside to overtaking M4, who's gone wide and on the grass. We are kept busy, Jack, with 2 laps remaining.
Yeah, exactly. But you got to feel for poor old Mikey in the wall, one-handed. That's given Chris McCann on a podium now. He's running in 3rd place now. There's Chris, brother of Peter McCann, of course, and Kevin Shine, man from Longford, in 4th place, running very, very well there is Kevin. He's chasing after Chris McCann at the moment, trying to get himself a podium here. Yeah, we're on that 14 of 15 in the opening sprint race. And remember, the top 10 will get reversed. So that's why the battle between Yomantis and Yamamoto is as fierce as it is. Niall Murray into the pit lane for damage. So that'll put David Yamamoto into P10 and reverse grid pole. But this battle rages on between Keith Dempsey and Jordan Kelly. And Jordan, he seems to have the pace, but he's unable to just find a gap. I wonder if he's just sizing him up a little bit, trying to put him off, may force him into a mistake because they're having to go through the traffic. And Jordan is almost using Keith as a battering ram to get through the traffic here as they come down to the back straight. It's a perfect strategy from Jordan. He doesn't want to be the one making his way through the traffic. And here we go in the slipstream now. Let's see, is Jordan going to do it this time? They are catching GT4s at the same time, though. So the way that Keith made it work the last time was GT4. Let's see if Jordan Kelly's going to be able to do it this time onto the inside with GT4 on the inside line. Is he going to be able to find space? No, he's just going to keep using it as a look to the inside, but he can't quite get it stopped on the brakes as they go on to the final lap now. Peter Dempsey in the lead by 3.3 seconds on to lap 15 of 15 in the sprint race today. And Peter Dempsey has led every single lap of this race, but the battle between second and third is certainly not over. But
Peter's in a great position here. You know, that's very, very tight between himself and one of the GT4 cars. Oh, you almost have to be able to second guess him. Touch there as well at the back. Keith Dempsey in on an MA coming out of the pit. I am looking forward to seeing what Jordan Kelly is going to do into the last chicane. I imagine that is where the move is going to happen. It's going to happen anywhere. We've seen a lot of contact down there as well. But this is just, look at that. He is crawling all over the back of his bumper. He's already going to try it at the double right-hander. No, he's not. Put so much pressure on Keith Dempsey. I know Dempsey's obviously a veteran at this, but even for him, like all of this pressure that Jordan Kelly is applying, it's absolutely smashing back between these two. It looks like Peter is going to come away with the win despite that late scare with the M4s. Jordan Kelly now comes up the inside. He's going to make it work. He has the outside though. Can Keith? No, he's after blocking him off. He's after taking the inside out. He's after getting him off. He comes back up the inside and takes it. Oh, there's contact. Whenever you can see it coming. Oh, and Jordan's come back on.
Josh Malin up the middle.
Josh just sneaking through. It looks like Josh will take it, isn't he?
Peter Dempsey wins it. Josh Malin takes second place by 2/10. Contact between Keith and Kelly. Here we go. Tom Ingram is going to take sixth away from James Holman at the line. Jason Cooper P5. And here's the battle for reverse grid pole here. Dave Yamamoto, if he has any sense, he'll hold on to that 10th place. But Yamantis is going to move over, is he? He is going to move over. Was that smart tactics from Arias there? Does he know the top 10? He's going to peel into the pit lane, actually. I wonder what's going on there. We must have a penalty, but Dave Yamamoto comes across the line. Who's going to get that reverse grid pole? It's going to be Niall Murray. On the and but Alex Denning, a dominant win in the GT4s in the Pro-Am class. But between
over the crest, after all of Jordan Kelly's work, thought he had finally got the move done, had the inside going into this chicane. Keith Dempsey went to desperate, could just lunged down the inside line that wasn't even there. Jordan went wide, and then Josh sneaking up the middle. That was a very, very brave move from Jordan to go through, or from Josh, should I say, to go through there. The two
watch it again.
Josh just slipped up the middle. Oh.
Was Conor kept his foot in it up the crest? Fair play.
That was brilliant. That is so entertaining. We had a brilliant race last week in the long with that opening sprint race. The end of that, and one of the most exciting finishes to a race I've seen in a long time.
How about that? Josh Malin stealing second place away from Keith Dempsey and from Jordan Kelly on the line, but just keeping his foot planted on the top of the crest. Absolutely brilliant stuff. But a great job, Alex Denning, taking the win. In
another win for Alex Denning in the GT4s with Harry Mcgovern second in that one. Brilliant stuff for Denning. He flew off. I know Michael McGuinness is telling us in the Le Mans race that he thought Denning's tires were going off, but Alex doesn't seem to have any problem extracting the most that he can out of these M4s.
Yeah, seems to be going really well. Harry Mcgovern in second place for that one. And here is the official results. Peter Dempsey by 5.6 seconds takes the race one win. Josh Malin by a margin of less than 1/10 of a second takes it away from Keith Dempsey at the line. Jordan Kelly P4. And a fantastic result for Jason Cooper, who just drove his own race where you didn't see much of Jason the whole way through that. P5. Tom Ingram seems luck going his way today. P6. James Holman, Rory O'Shea. P8. Davey Yamamoto and Niall Murray on pole for the reverse grid. That's going to be spicy. Sergey Graben, Nicky Meredith, Tony Stack, Ian Malone, Brian McManus, Patrick McKenna, Adam Dowling, Arias Yamantis in 18th place, further down the order. Then Ronan Hederman, Adrian Campfield after his spin, Richard Lyons, Arturus Kundalis after making contact with Richard Lyons actually over the crest. And then Owen Murray, Thomas Siebas, Dave Collier, Michael Devaney, Richard Faulkner, and Thomas Series. And then rounding out the order, we Rob Moore, of course, Evan Walsh, non-finish, and Peter McCann, unfortunately, non-finishes for both of those guys. And that incident is under investigation. I would wager that's the lap 15 incident between Kelly and Dempsey. That's going to be an interesting one. See what the stewards make of that one.
Yeah, I think a bit of a chin wag between all of them as well. We're just seeing some of the debrief. We're hearing some of the debrief just in the background a little bit from some of the drivers. It is a very difficult one, like oftentimes you think that somebody's going to go one way, they go the other, and it's really, there's no particular fault on either driver. It's just a bit of a misunderstanding, and especially with the two classes here, it's so difficult. I feel really sorry for poor old Michael McGuinness, though. If anybody here was absolutely flying before he got that touch from the M8 through that final corner, and really Michael was doing such a brilliant job with one hand, one hand split open. But hopefully, look, a bit of lessons learned in this opening race as we get set for the second sprint race of this 2-race night tonight.
Yep, let's have a quick rundown of the Pro-Am finishers as well. Alex Denning, Harry Mcgovern, P2, and Chris McCann picking up a third place there as well. It's a good job from him. And then was Kevin Shine and Nathan Healy coming from the very back of the grid to 5th place. Good job from Nathan. Evan Griffin, Lawrence DeSalzo inside the top 10 as well. Fair play to Lawrence. Shane Connolly and Damien McMullen with a top 10 as well. Fair play to Damien. And Dave Maguire after his spin. Victor Cullen, Brendan Stone. We all know what happened to poor Michael McGuinness. And Max Hart started at the very back. He's just been picking out places all the way through. He finishes 14th. Johnny McMullen, Jan Montero, and Mark Burney, non-finisher in the 17 car Pro-Am class of car. But I think the even more interesting one is coming up now. The 15-lap feature race with the top 10 inverted. Niall Murray on the pole next to David Yamamoto. And Niall Murray is a very fast peddler. Then we have Rory O'Shea. Rory is very quick in that high pre car. James Holman, great. And Tom Ingram inside the top 5. Will luck go his way eventually today. Jason Cooper, Jordan Kelly next to Keith Dempsey. That's going to be great. And Josh Malin and Peter Dempsey on row number 5. Then Sergio Graf and Nicky Meredith, 11th and 12th on the grid. Then Tony Stack, Ian Malone, Brian McManus, Patrick McKenna, Adam Dowling, Arias Montes, Ronan Hederman, Adrian Camfield, Richard Lyons, Arturas Kundalis, Owen Murray, Thomas Sybas. And then the last couple of runners, Dave Collier, Michael Devaney, and Richard Faulkner. And there's going to be a bit of a mix-up there between Thomas Series and Richard Faulkner. But Alex Denning on the pole for GT4 Pro-Am class. And then Harry Mcgovern, Chris McCann, Kevin Shine, Nathan Healy, Evan Griffin, Lawrence DeSalzo, and Shane Connolly. There's no reverse grid for the Pro-Ams, of course. Rob Barble. There's a couple of cars that are going to be in the middle of the GT4s. That's going to be interesting. Damien McMullen, Dave McGuire, Victor Cullen, Brendan Stone, Michael McGuinness, Max Hart, Johnny McMullen. Then couple of the M8s down further, Rob Moore, Evan Walsh, Peter McCann, Jan Montero, and at the very back of the field is going to be Mark Burney at the very back. So you are watching the BMW M4 and M8 competition sponsored by Mondello Park in association with Motorsport Ireland. All these guys, of course, running with official digital motorsport licenses, which is at the forefront of digital racing. These guys have standards to uphold. But let's see what's going to happen today. Niall Murray, Yamamoto, O'Shea, and Holman. But yeah, I'm Kevin. I don't like to pick drivers to root for, but I really want Tom Ingram to do well.
Yeah, and I hope Michael McGuinness gets a little bit of karma after the last race as well. This is going to be, we were saying the last race, obviously, that even by lap 5 there was traffic. Obviously, the guys that start down the back now, the likes of Evan Walsh, are going to have to contend with traffic from the get-go, and it will be very interesting to see how patient they can be. Hopefully, like I said, lessons learned in the opening race, but we see even just here we're focusing on Michael McGuinness. He has an M8 immediately behind him, so immediately he comes around the first turn and he's going to have to worry about giving away for GT traffic. Up the front though, Niall Murray, interesting to see him in starting off in first place. Interesting to see that we said there was a huge amount of difference between the top guys in practice. So a great opportunity for some of these guys. If they can just keep it clean again, they should be able to hold off reasonably well some of the so-called faster guys behind them. But there isn't a huge amount of the difference between them as they come through the chicane now. We get ready for this feature race of round 2.
Looking forward to this one. Davy Yamamoto in a great spot as well, on for a podium here. Niall Murray goes immediately. He saw that Yamamoto breaking. Niall Murray is away with it. He's a wily character here, is Niall Murray. Away he goes to begin race number 2, the feature race of today. Yamamoto second, and already James Holman already starting to fight for third place there with Tom Ingram right behind them as well as they come up towards turn 1. Niall Murray's got a good Holman up the inside of O'Shea. He takes third place. Away from him as they run up the hill, then you can see them side by side in the background. I think Holman's going to have to secede that position back to Rory O'Shea. And down in the Pro-Am class, all clean between all of these guys. Alex Denning still leading Mcgovern, then McCann, and the M8s already starting to make their way through. We're looking at Nathan Healy right now as they run up here. Jason Cooper there with that'll be Keith Dempsey right behind. Peter Dempsey right behind him as they come up towards the double right-hander for the first time in this race. And this is going to be a really interesting one to watch between these two. But Niall Murray, with a brilliant start, he saw Yamamoto getting on the brakes, and as soon as he saw that, instant reaction, and away he went.
Yeah, but even look at the distance now between Yamamoto and Rory O'Shea there between second and third. I know Dave will be kicking himself with that, with being caught off the line, really with his pants down a little bit, but has already made a good gap there on third place. It looks like those two are running up the front for the moment, but it's a long race yet to go, and a nice battle here is...
Oh no, Tom Ingram! Oh, the luck continues to go the wrong way for Tom Ingram. Facing the wrong way. I just saw it in the background. He got a tag. He tried to go around the outside of James Holman. There was a tiny touch. And Tom Ingram, once again, facing the wrong way. But Niall Murray now, still leading. And how about Keith Dempsey? Up to 5th. He's managed to get ahead of both Josh Malin and Jordan Kelly right here. Into 5th place, up on the back of James Holman. But Davy Yamamoto now starting to catch up to Niall Murray as well. But Keith is on a mission right here, and Jordan really needs to stay with him here.
Yeah, it's a fascinating battle between those three. It'll be interesting to see how much they can take out of the rest of the pack, as Keith is already making this, or putting pressure a bit on Rob Holman there in 4th place. These guys obviously started outside the top 10 already, fighting for the top 5. Oh, that's a big collision there. Oh. That's number 45. Let's see, that's McKenna there on his roof. What happened there between those two? Looked like an M8 went wide there, spun on the grass. Oh, that's big contact, and then it was just a case of somebody being in the wrong place at the wrong time, I think.
Yeah, Patrick McKenna ending up on his roof. The big one there for Patrick McKenna is going to be race over for him. But seems Niall Murray, the gap he made at the start is starting to shrink now as the Yamamoto's putting in some good guys. And Rory O'Shea is starting to bring it back as well. James Holman has now got to try and keep the very looming fitter, Keith Dempsey behind him. He's actually up the inside of the first corner. Jordan Kelly is now going to try and follow through, because Jordan Kelly set the fastest lap of the race on that lap gone by. And you can see now Jordan is just stuck behind James Holman as they run down the hill now. And the thing about James Holman is Mr. Consistent. So it's going to be really hard to find a way through as they come up to the double right-hander once again. See him now up through the gears, up to 5th gear, up to 6th gear briefly as they come up towards this double right-hander. Where's he going to make the move? He's going to have to make it soon, because Keith is starting to bolt away onto the back of Rory O'Shea. See now, Instant starting to come in with the stewards here, car number 44 and car number 104. But here we go with Jordan Kelly, and he's got to watch out because Josh Malin is also on his tail. You can see right there, as you can see the looming car of Josh Malin on the back of him there. Here comes Jordan Kelly on the outside of James Holman into the braking zone for the chicane. Can he get it stopped on the outside line? James is going to run him deep. He can't quite get it stopped. Good driving from James Holman there. And as I said, James Holman is not a man that's easily passed. He can set laps within the same 100th, lap after lap after lap. And even that small little move to try and go for an overtake has dropped him into the clutches of Josh Malin and of Peter Dempsey. As we look now at RAC Mantis on the back of Ian Malone on the inside line of turn 1 and gets it done up the inside. But you can see Jordan, I think, has he got it done? Josh Malin is dropping down the order. Oh, Josh Malin into the wall. I wonder, was there contact further up, because James Holman was also dropping down the order as they come through there. But Josh Malin, let's have a look here. Oh, he got a tag from Peter Dempsey. Yeah. Round he went.
And Josh Malin was ahead of him as well.
Yeah, I can see one car had to take to the escape road. Couldn't quite see who that was.
They're not made for two-wide racing. Those S's. You've really got to be so sure of yourself going too wide into there. But you don't want to back off either, because you run the risk of being caught from behind. It's such a difficult way.
You see Alex Denning, 3-second lead in Pro-Am. He's having a great old day as Alex Denning. He's trying to do the double. Car number 2, race start under investigation. So I wonder, is that for being
That's
out of
exciting.
position? Car number 2 is
Alex
what?
Denning, the championship leader thus far at the
Alex
M4.
Denning. Oh wow, Alex Denning under investigation for the race start. I wonder, did he go too early?
Well, he's well in the lead now, the M4s anyway. So did he? Yeah, exactly. Did he just go a little bit early in that one? We saw not David Yamamoto, but we saw Peter Dempsey. Sorry, Niall Murray. They say do it so successfully in the M8s. I wonder, did Alex try the same trick? We know that race control wanted the M4s as well to stay kind of away from the M8s in their start. So I wonder, was there an issue there with the gap that was left, or?
Yeah, could be, but he's under investigation nonetheless. And Harry Mcgovern sitting 3 seconds back will be hoping he gets a penalty. But Niall Murray's under pressure now. How about this? Because David Yamamoto's close up to him, Rory O'Shea's close up to him, and there's a 4-car train because Keith Dempsey's joined the fun as well in 4th place. Jordan Kelly's just a little ways off the back now, but this is a great opportunity for David, great opportunity for Rory to fight with Keith and to fight with Niall Murray, because both of these guys, Niall and Keith, and of course David as well, they race in real life as well. David, of course, races in the Irish Legends series. Niall Murray has been in so many different forms of cars. I think he's more involved with drifting these days. And Keith, of course, races in single-seaters back in the day. And now they're beginning to lap the GT4s. As they come around to start laps, lap number 6, the GT4 gets on the grass now. Here comes Keith Dempsey with an opportunity on Rush. He's onto the grass on the inside. He can't find the room on the inside line. If there's one thing about Keith, he never goes for a half-hearted overtake. He absolutely goes for it. And he's really getting frustrated behind where he gives him a tag on the inside. And Michael McGuinness is going to get in the way here. He gets sent around. And Rory O'Shea, comes back onto the circuit. Does he get collected? Somehow he doesn't. But I have a feeling that might be looked at by the stewards, because I think Keith gave him a helping hand round there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was a little bit impatient there. I don't know what he was. I don't know how he thought he was going to get through the inside going into T1. He was always going to go wide into Rory O'Shea, and obviously, I know it's frustrating, obviously, to keep as he has the pace, but again, it's all about timing here. He's trying to spot himself there. Keith Dempsey.
That's Peter Dempsey.
Sorry, my apologies.
I think it's rear suspension damage for Peter Dempsey. I don't know where he picked it up, but that's both. That's Peter Dempsey, the race 1 winner, is now in the grass trying to get restarted again. But all of that, you can see who's now joined the party. It's Jordan Kelly joining the fun, and Nicky Meredith as well. But all the GT4's in the way again. Just nothing really could do about that on the exit, and they're having to really be aggressive here as they make their way through. But all that's helping Niall Murray to gap out front. He's got a 1.1 second gap right now. Here comes Brian McManus and James Holman together. Brian's having a good run in P7 at the moment. James Holman just now looking back from James Holman onto Brian McManus. They're making up places as a result of the issues up front, but they're now making their way down through the S's once again. As who is that? That's Jason Cooper. Thomas Sivas, sorry, Jason Cooper and Thomas Sivas making contact. So it's all starting to fall apart a little bit now in this opening sector as the cars begin to cap.
What happened to Thomas? That's what I want to know. Oh, big turn there, caught up with one of the M4s. Oh, the two of them just ended up in the same spot in completely different circumstances.
Yeah, so unfortunate for Jason, who did really, really well in race number 1. He finished P5. Don't forget Jason Cooper, but now that's it's unfortunately going to be raced over for him. As they now rejoin the live action, you can see now Jordan Kelly, he's under pressure from Nicky Meredith. Nicky, of course, a race winner last season as well, don't forget. He picked up the win in the tail end of the season.
It's a nice little VRA versus turn 3 battle going on here for bragging rights as well between these two. They'll be very, very keen as we see another M8 go off there. That's
Rory O'Shea.
O'Shea, he's been caught up with a lot, Rory. He was only, such a difficult thing for him. He was so far up the list. He was in 3rd place there, and now finding himself way back down with just 2 small incidents. No actual car 3 and car 90. Let's see who those are.
Yeah, couldn't quite see who that was, but obviously, was that the I was hardly the touch between
Peter Dempsey. Dempsey and car 9 is Josh Malin, so that was a touch between Dempsey and Malin.
where Josh Malin faced the wrong way in turn 1. No further action on that one. So the stewards have decided that was a racing incident, and I would tend to agree. But you can see now, I have to say, well, here comes Nicky Meredith on the outside line of Jordan Kelly. Here we go, turn 3 versus VRA Racing into the chicane. Jordan is just going to run him out wide there. He's a very experienced racer in Formula V's, is Jordan Kelly. Nicky Meredith, of course, no stranger to a racetrack either. But this is going to allow Brian McManus to get involved. He's not far off them. Here is Brian McManus as they come up towards turn number 1 once again. But Nicky Meredith took a spectacular win last season after, funnily enough, Brian McManus's escapades in Watkins Glen, I think it was.
Will we mention the war?
We'll give a brief mention to it, but Alex Denning still in the lead. But look how much Harry McGovern's caught him. 0.7 of a second now between the two for the lead of Pro-Am, and also up front in Pro, 0.6 of a second between Murray and Yamamoto. This is really interesting between both of these battles right here.
But because when we go back to that, Jordan Kelly, he managed to defend that. It's good mentally as well from Kelly to be caught up in that incident, of course, in the first sprint race in the chicane, and then still having that ability to be cool and calm and get the job done in the feature race in the same part of the track. That chicane just invites overtakes, but then also as you're coming up and over the crest, it just invites so much trouble through there.
Exactly, yeah, we're on board with Harry McGovern, who just lost 1.8 seconds now as a result of the traffic he was letting through. But Harry doing very nicely. Chris McCann still hanging on to his 3rd place there as well. Nice and consistent from Chris McCann, who we're just going to have a quick look at. There he is. And Dave Maguire is 5 seconds behind him. And Lawrence de Souza running in 5th place as well. Fair play to Lawrence, who's running in there. There is Max Hart versus Nathan Healy. Running for P6. Here comes Max Hart, racing the UK TCR series in a say it. Let's see what he's able to do on the inside line of Nathan Healy here. Nathan opens the door. He's not going to fight that one. I think he knows Max has got more pace, and straight through Max Hart into 6th place. No further action for Alex Denning. That'll be a relief. That'll be a relief to him. So obviously there was a little bit of looking at whether he went too early, but he's now really got to make sure that he keeps him behind. Oh, GT4 off in the back hard. Can't quite see who that was. Look, definitely off the road as well.
I saw in the time she's trying to see who's coming down through the
Kevin Shine. Kevin Shine.
That's the back
who
end.
was yeah, just got on the grass on the exit, and that GT4 BMW has seen better days. On board now with Kevin, just heading through. You can just see Devi Yamamoto coming through there. Runs just a little bit like that. It's so brutal. He runs ever so slightly wide and ends up in that wall. But yeah, he's going to have to nurse that car back to the pit lane now, and it's a long way.
I'd be surprised to see him feature for the rest of this feature race, to be honest. That looks like a very costly repair as we're on board now again with Niall Murray, the race leader. He's absolutely flying it now. And it's really great, these reverse grid races, because we get to see guys who are, just a little bit maybe off the pace of the first race, or just don't get that little bit of luck, then get the opportunity to show their skills up the front in the feature race. And we saw how much ground was being made by the Dempseys in the opening few laps. But it looks like for Niall Murray and Davy Yamamoto, if they can't keep it clean over the next 4 laps, that the first 2 places are theirs, and it looks like Keith Dempsey will also take 3rd, with Jordan Kelly coming in 4th at the moment, but fighting off, of course, Nicky Meredith. Really interesting battle developing there, but particularly in the Pro-Am category, as we say. It's Alex Denning's been so far ahead for so long, but has Harry McGovern now for company. It'd be interesting to see if Harry can break this streak, because Alex is, of course, going for 2 race wins in a row now here.
Yeah, Arturas Kundlis, Sergei Gravin. 2 Lithuanians going out of here. It's Kundlis. Lovely move on the outside line right there. Arturas Kundlis, of course, we like to mention driving on hand controls. And here comes Tom Ingram on the inside of Adam Dowling. I think that is, he makes the move. But Tom Ingram again with the poor luck today, and down in 14th place while fighting for the top 3. But he's now back fighting with Tony Stack, who took a podium last season as well. Tony running well there, just behind Josh Malin, who's also on a recovery drive here, just up the road in 12th place.
And I bet you, it doesn't matter how often that'll have Thompson just strike bad luck. Every time you get him in the post-race interviews, he's always such a nice guy, such a nice character, always is so humble in victory and defeat. So It was great to see him finish in the top 10 in the first race. Sorry to see a little bit of misfortune hit him this race, but he's still extremely competitive and could still do a little bit with 3 laps to go here in this feature race. That was close between Rory O'Shea. He hasn't had much luck. Speaking of people without much luck, Rory hasn't had much luck in this feature race either.
Yeah, got a tag from Keith Dempsey earlier on, sending him around into the wall. You can see now Denning has opened out the gap to Mcgovern to 2 seconds, and he has the relief of knowing that he does not have a penalty coming his way. Harry's just keeping him nice and in check there. Niall Murray still in the lead by 1.1 seconds at this point in time. And David Yamamoto P2. And is that a car facing? That's been a problem for Dave Maguire. That's Dave Maguire. There's been contact between the podium, actually. That was for the podium. Who was it? Chris McCann was running in the podium, and I think it was Dave Maguire also collected in that.
It looks if that's Chris McCann being hit the second time it's happened to him now in 2 races. He got hit from behind by Harry Mcgovern, and Dave Maguire. It's the second time poor Chris has been hit from behind in one of these races. You say Harry Mcgovern doing it to him in Arnage last time around at Le Mans. This time through that very, very tricky left-hander.
Dempsey on Yamamoto for second. Here we go. The traffic's helped Keith Dempsey. Let's see if he's going to be able to outbrake him on the inside. And yes, he's able to do so, but he's going to get caught with a GT4 on the inside, but he manages to make his way through. And Keith Dempsey into second place. And now onto lap 14, but I think it's a little too late to go chasing after Niall Murray. He needs a problem for Niall Murray at this point in time. But I think that instant between Chris and all those other guys has promoted a couple of guys who wouldn't normally be on the podium into the podium spots here. It's interesting to see how that's going to unfold. So it's Harry Mcgovern. Lawrence de Soswa is into the podium places. Fair play, Lawrence, for keeping the consistency going. He'll be over the moon if he's able to hold on to third. Oh, big one, Max Hart, and that's Victor Cullen. That's gone round actually. Max Hart, I think, was just ahead of these guys, and unfortunately, that has now dropped him down a little ways. But Lawrence de Soswa, how about that? He'll be absolutely sweating hard right now, Lawrence, in that third place, but it'll be a very popular podium if he manages to hang on for just one more lap.
I'm looking forward to seeing his stream of this going on. Obviously, Lawrence, a well-known streamer, over 3,300 subscribers on his own YouTube account, so they'll have plenty to watch for this feature race. Got a load of new gear recently, including 200kg road cell pedals as well. So it seems to be helping him out here, Lawrence. And obviously not a brilliant showing in the sprint race, but it's certainly made up for it here in the feature race. It just goes to show you on a track as attritional as this, if you can keep it consistent, if you can keep it safe, you don't necessarily have to be the quickest guy, but just keeping it safe and earning a lot of places. As this is Brian McManus now going for a move on Nicky Meredith. I just decided to pull out of that one. Probably discretion, the better part of valor there for Brian, but he's going to keep the chase going on this final lap of this second race of the second round of the BMW M4 and M8 Championship, sponsored by Mondello Park in association with Motorsport Ireland.
Yeah, so final lap, and my lord, it has been a long time, but I think has there been a look at the gap, how much it's coming down between Murray and Dempsey? It's 1.5 second, dropping rapidly. I think that's due to traffic, as Yamamoto's having a look on Dempsey in the background. He's on the inside. Oh, they spin! They spin! And Dempsey around. Jordan Kelly says, thank you very much. I'll have that one up to second place for Jordan Kelly. And Nicky Meredith is going to try and drive through. There was contact. Yamamoto tried it, but he just couldn't quite do it. And Jordan Kelly picks up the pieces. And Keith Dempsey drops to 6th place. But this will be a long time in the making. It has been multiple seasons since we've said this one, but coming through the last corner for the first time in nearly a year, Niall Murray wins around at the IDMC BMW M4 and M8 competition. Alex Denning, 3 wins in a row. Jordan Kelly is second, and David Yamamoto is on the podium in third, but will there be an investigation? We'll have to wait. Nicky Meredith, Brian McManus, Keith Dempsey, RC Mantis, James Holman, Sergio Grabman, and Josh Malin in P10. Drama at the end. And does Lawrence get his podium? Yes, he does. Lawrence de Soswa on the podium.
Brilliant stuff. Fantastic. Congratulations to both Niall and, of course, Alex. Alex 3 in a row here. Niall first win, as you say, Jack, in a year. He'll enjoy that so much. Michael McGuinness coming through there now as well. Looks like he will pick up a top 10 place. But just back on that incident between Keith Dempsey and Davey Yamamoto, how much will that influence the championship, I wonder? Because Keith went all the way back to sixth from there. Jordan Kelly jumped into second. We're talking about these two guys being the front runners for the championship. Keith obviously made up 2 places nonetheless from the starting position, but that was such an important incident. There was some kind of contact in front of David, and then that was Keith actually hitting the M4, and then David just lunged in, and you could
it's
see
a hard
why
one to
David
call.
went for it. You can see he was probably a car's length beside, but did he give Keith enough space? And that's the thing, even just the slightest bit of contact will see a swap ends, and Keith must be absolutely so frustrated now. That's a huge amount of places lost to Jordan Kelly, who just said, as you said, thank you very much, pops up into second place, starting 7th in the grid, and a brilliant finish. But that I think that sprint finish must be one of the most exciting I have seen in a long time.
But there you have it. Lap 15 incident involving car number 9 and car number 50 is under investigation by the stewards. So these results are very much provisional. Niall Murray is a winner after a long spell of dry spell. Jordan Kelly in second, and Davey Yamamoto, even after the contact, still a great result for third place. Nicky Meredith, Brian McManus fighting back to a top 5 finish. Keith Dempsey, he'll be really angry, I'd imagine, in 6th place. Arias Imantas in 7th. James Holman, Sergio Graben, and Josh Malin fighting back to 10th, and Tom Ingram fighting back to 11th. Ian Malone, Tony Stack, Adam Dowling, Owen Murray, Richard Faulkner, Robert Barable, Rory O'Shea in 18th after his terrible day at the office. Peter McCann, Rob Moore, Arturas Kundalis, Dave Collier, Evan Walsh, Thomas Sybus, Peter Dempsey, of course, with the rear suspension damage, ended up all the way down in 25th. Thomas Series, Roland Hederman, Jason Cooper, and then Michael Devaney, Richard Lyons, Patrick McKenna, and Adrian Canfield did not take the start of this race. And we'll have a quick look at the Pro-Am results as well. Alex Denning, once again, taking the win in that one. Here we go. Alex Denning, 3 wins in a row. Harry Mcgovern, and I think a very happy and a very welcome first podium for Lawrence de Soswa. He'll be over the moon for that one. Well done, Lawrence. We're all very happy for you. Dave Maguire, Nathan Healy, Chris McCann, Shane Connolly, Michael McGuinness, Victor Cullen, and Jean Montero round out your top 10. Demi McMullen just outside it. Max Hart, Evan Griffin, Mark Burney, Kevin Shine, Brendan Stone, and Johnny McMullen round out your 17-car field for the Pro-Am class. But that has been a really interesting day. I don't know if we're going to hear from Niall Murray, but if we can hear from anybody, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think everyone will have all of their own incidents. It's kind of what we expected. Everybody will have their own story of how this race played out. It was just so much carnage. Like we were expecting it. In fairness, it did clear up a little bit in the second race. Some really good racing in both the sprint and the feature event today. It looks like we've a few coming into the interview area. Jordan Kelly, Josh Malin, and Tom Ingram. Jack, do you have any particular preference of who you'd like to get up first?
Actually, I'd quite like a word with Jordan Kelly because he had a good day at the office. Drag him in. Jordan, welcome back to the interview box once again. I'd say a good day at the office for you. Obviously, the second place came to you at the very end, but overall, I think you can be happy with the results today.
Yeah, it was going good. Just it's hard to keep the head down in these kind of races with the traffic and stuff, and keep it clean and stuff. But there's a few incidents and stuff, but it was a good race and ended up alright.
Yeah, so obviously we saw it the whole way through the race, trying to make your way through the traffic. I mean, that must have been so difficult trying to balance the side-by-side action and also trying to find your way through past some really slow-moving Pro-Am GT4s.
Yeah, so that's just it's about having a lot of patience. Like, you just need to trust the people behind, not to just dive in and try a stupid move and stuff. And you're trying to watch out for the M4s, they keep on their lines and stuff to line up and overtake. But yeah, it was a very difficult race in regards to that. You never had a second to just relax and try and put on a hot lap or something. But it was still good.
And well, even after all what you say is a difficult day, you still should be in the lead of the championship. So obviously, still all going well for you. But with another 2-week break now, feeling confident going into the next one.
Yeah, I should feel pretty good around Spa. We done the 24-hour round there and we came second, so it was a good bit of practice and stuff, but it was good to get the practice in too, like so.
Yeah, good stuff. So Jordan Kelly, second place in the feature race, and still should be the championship leader going into Spa next round. Thanks for coming in and joining us as always.
Thanks, Jack. I'll chat to you later.
Right, so Jordan Kelly, you never really get much out of Jordan. He's like Kimi Räikkönen in the league, but still very happy. So Kevin, I think I'll give you next pick. Niall Murray is actually waiting and standing by.
Well, I'll take Niall then in that case.
Let's drag Mr. Niall Murray in.
Niall, congratulations. What a difference a year makes. This time last year, you were, I think it was around the time your last first place finish. How important was it for you, starting out from the front? You got a great start there. You really showed David a clean pair of heels. I suppose that took the pressure off then going into the opening sector of the first lap.
Yeah, well, I knew I didn't really have a massive amount of pace, so I had to obviously get a good start and get away. And I did a lot of laps around this track in the F3 car when it was on Formula Sprint earlier in the year, on the short track. But I started a good few races on pole there as well, so I kind of knew where the best place was to go. And luckily it wasn't too early, and I didn't catch safety car. So yeah, no, it was good to get the break in the first lap anyway, to kind of put the head down then.
Yeah, and track knowledge is so important. There was so much carnage going on, and especially when you have any of the GT4s that end up, with any sort of problem, you end up catching them almost immediately then on your second or third lap. So, how was the traffic management? How did you approach it? Was it a case of staying patient, or did you use just flashing the lights, or what was the strategy for getting through all that?
I kind of purposely don't flash the lights because I have a thing where if someone flashes the lights at me, I won't let them by it. I don't like the whole light flashing sort of thing. I think everyone kind of is looking in their mirrors and they see you coming anyway. So yeah, look, it was really, really difficult track for traffic, and you have to feel for most of the F4 guys. I had a couple of collisions with a few in race 1, and thankfully didn't have any touches in race 2. But yeah, it was very, very difficult, and I might open up the gap to a second and then hit traffic, and Dave be right on top of me again, and then hit more traffic and I break away again. So yeah, kind of it was okay. As I said, I kind of feel for the guys in the M4s because they're just constantly looking in their mirrors, and obviously they're having their own race as well. But yeah, I think everyone was mostly well behaved.
I suppose, Niall, how much confidence now does that give you going into race 3? I know you were, unfortunately, none of us on Monday, being totally honest, picked you to win. You certainly silenced the critics here, and I suppose in a field with such top class drivers, including yourself, of course, just to pick up that win on the second round puts you in a great stead now going towards the rest of the championship in Spa in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, well, look, it's obviously with most things in sim racing, it's just all about time and who has the most time to do the most testing. And thankfully, I did have a little bit of time the last couple of weeks. I got on for 2 nights, I think, and did a bit of testing. That's the most I've ever done, so it did obviously help. But yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to be fixed the next 2 weeks. So that's kind of all it comes down to. Obviously, everyone knows Spa fairly well, but I haven't driven in this car before, so yeah, it'll just mean a lot of patience and sitting down for hours on end and putting in the laps like the rest of the lads do, and trying to be within kind of half second a lap of the front runners, and then you can be thereabouts in race.
Now, finally, just before I let you go, anybody want to give a shout out before you go?
Yeah, just the whole team at Murray Motorsport. So we're obviously big in the whole sim racing thing, and only started this year. So yeah, if anyone needs any sort of sim equipment, go on to murraymotorsport.com and we'll look after you from there.
Brilliant. Niall, you're a champion in British National Formula Ford. You're pretty quick in the GTEs as well. Congratulations on your first place tonight in the feature race.
Great. Thanks, Kevin.
So that was Niall Murray there we were speaking to. And I think finally we will have the GT4 winner, 3 from 3, Alex Denning. He's standing by with Jack.
Yeah, just before I drag in Alex Denny, I don't know if you saw the race control messages. 10-second penalty for David Yamamoto for contact with Keith Dempsey in the final lap, which promotes Nicky Meredith to third place. Also, Keith Dempsey, 10-second penalty for spinning Rory O'Shea. So the results will be changed, but so the Keith drops even further down. So it's a big one for Jordan Kelly today. We're going to have a word with Alex Denning. Alex, another fantastic day at the office, 3 in a row. You seem to have it all under control.
Yeah, no, it wasn't as easy as it looks. I had Harry keep me honest all the way through the second race. But yeah, absolutely thrilled to take the 2 wins tonight.
Yeah, good stuff. Obviously, this is the first we've chatted with a couple of the GTE guys, seeing how tough it was to get through the GT4s. Was it a case of, since you're out in the lead, you're pretty much driving in your mirrors, trying to keep A, Harry behind, and B, trying to make sure that the M8s get through safely?
Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, I was just constantly on the relative after about lap 5, and I was spending more time actually looking in my mirror than driving around the track. And then the next corner I'd have to look to see where Harry was, and it was always give or take the same amount that we both lose.
Yeah, exactly. We noticed as well on the race control that there was, I think you were under investigation for the start. Were you aware of any issues going on there?
No, well, I just started pole, and as far as I was aware, the pole man dictates the pace. I started off P1, Harry was a bit ahead, and I just got a good start. Obviously, the stewards have looked at it and decided it's okay, so.
Yeah, all good. But of course, now you've gone 3 in a row. We're going to head into Spa in 2 weeks' time, which is very different, much more open. Obviously, you must have a wealth of confidence now that you've taken the endurance race at Le Mans and 2 in a row today.
Yeah, it's nice having that comfortable lead. It gives me a bit of a cushion going into the rest of the season, but nonetheless, I think all the lads will keep me on my toes for the remainder of the season.
Good stuff, Alex. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thank you to?
Yeah, just again to all the guys in Digital Motorsports. They've done a fantastic job. It isn't easy getting 60 or 50 cars into the one track over a minute, and yeah, it's just been a great event. Thanks a million, guys.
Thanks very much, Alex, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again in 2 weeks' time.
Hopefully. Cheers.
And a very happy Alex Denning there. And unfortunately, we're not going to quite get time to talk to Josh Malin or to Tom Ingram. We'd obviously love to get a chat with Tom Ingram because we all know he's gracious in defeat, but the luck's still not going his way today. But nonetheless, that brings an end to proceedings for round number 2, would you believe, in Road Atlanta for the BMW M4 and M8 competition, sponsored by Mondello Park in association with Motorsport Ireland. Kevin, thanks very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to work alongside you for the very first time.
Absolutely, plenty more to come from as well. Nice to have as well an all-Irish commentary team for the Irish National Championship. Just ties it up a little bit nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, and of course, big shout out as well to Mark, always running the cameras in the background as well. Always nice to have an Italian voice in your ear, as always. But next, in 2 weeks' time, we, of course, head to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. So we're going to see now who is going to take the crown in 2 weeks' time. Jordan Kelly took it in Le Mans. Then we had Peter Dempsey in race 1 today. And then Niall Murray in race number 2. 3 different winners. Can we have a 4th one or possibly a 5th one next round in Spa? But that's all from us today. Make sure, of course, to check out digitalmotorsports.com for all your sim racing needs, and of course check out the competition to win the driving experiences in Mondello Park. Check out the link in the description down below. That's all from us tonight. Big thanks to Mondello Park, of course, and to Motorsport Ireland for we are, of course, associated with, and of course, big thanks to Niall, Maher, to Sean McGinley, and to Rob King, who were the busy race stewards tonight. But we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at the same time. Check out Apex Racing TV for all the action, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, and good night.
Slug
itching to get racing? Whether it's circuit racing, drifting, rallying, or even karting, here at digitalmotorsports.com we run some of the best online leagues in the world. To get involved, visit our website at digitalmotorsports.com and enrol for our next event.